I love Christmas decorations. In fact, I have a little bit of a problem. My problem is, each year I buy another set of Christmas lights. In fact, this year I was responsible for 2 sets of lights that got added to our Christmas tree at the back. I say it's my problem, but the truth is, the staff at Auckland Airport did drop by earlier this week and ask me to turn some of the lights off, because apparently my home is becoming too much of a distraction for planes trying to locate our airport. I'm sure I'm not the only one who enjoys Christmas lights. Who here is brave enough to admit to liking as many Christmas lights as they can get their hands on? Come on, I'm sure I'm not alone. 1 or 2 brave people. Who appreciates a real Christmas tree? Who here appreciates it? Here we go, a few more. I'll tell you what, the real Christmas tree here has been an absolute hit this year, so I certainly know some people really love it. What about tinsel? Who likes tinsel? I know lots of people, tinsel is divisive. I'm not going to lie about that. Tinsel is divisive. But finally, I'm wondering how many of you have what we would call a nativity set as part of your Christmas decorations? Okay, quite a number. We certainly have a lovely set just here, which you can come and admire on your way to communion later in the service. A nativity scene is a collection of figures that tell the story of the birth of Jesus. They've been around for a long time. In fact, we know that St. Francis popularized reproducing the Christmas story in this way almost 1,000 years ago. When I was growing up, my parents owned a beautiful hand-carved nativity set with a little stable, a Mary, a Joseph, shepherds, magi, and of course the animals. But in my family, there were some rules that had to be followed when putting up the nativity scene each year. The first rule was that the baby Jesus was never allowed to be put into the manger until Christmas Day. After all, that is the day we celebrate his birth. The problem with that was that the beautifully hand-carved figure of baby Jesus was very small and was easily lost. Fortunately, our family developed a foolproof method of keeping track of the baby Jesus. Each year, when putting up the nativity set, Jesus would be gathered up and would be popped into a sherry glass for safekeeping. The other important tradition was for those who paid close attention to the story of the Magi, the wise people who brought gifts to the baby Jesus. When we read the story in the Bible closely, we find that the Magi did not actually arrive on Christmas Day. They arrived sometime soon after the birth of Jesus. In church tradition, we actually celebrate the arrival of these wise people on January the 6th every year. Given that my parents knew this, we were therefore never allowed to put the 3 figures carrying their gifts into the nativity scene until January the 6th. In fact, we had to take these wise people and their little wooden camel to the other end of the house and move them a tiny bit closer towards the manger every day. This was to remind us of that great journey that they made, following the star to find this newborn child. Now, if you find any of that confusing, don't worry. As a child, I was very confused about all of it. A few years ago, I decided I wanted to get a new nativity set for my family so we could start making some traditions of our own. I hunted around online and finally discovered a Playmobil nativity set, which we now set up every year. But I don't want to tell you about the nativity set I bought today. I would rather tell you about the one I didn't buy. If you look on the front of your service sheet this morning, you will see a picture of a very different Holy Family. This nativity set was branded the hipster nativity set. In it we can see a 100% organic cow, a shepherd staring at his cell phone, 3 magi on their segways bearing gifts with the Amazon logo upon them. And in the centre, Mary holding up her turmeric latte as Joseph takes a selfie of them with their new baby. So what are we to make of this? Well, at first I thought it was a bit of a laugh. There is an irreverence that appeals just a little bit. And after I laughed, I went back to looking for another nativity set because I didn't want to buy the one that was making light of the Christmas story. Yes, it is also making fun of hipsters, and, well, you can come to your own conclusions about the rights and wrongs of that. A few days later, though, I found I was still thinking about the hipster nativity scene quite a lot. I began to wonder just how much of a joke it really was. What if someone had actually put a lot of thought into it and was genuinely offering a version of the Christmas story that made sense to them? When I started thinking about it, I realised that what made me a little uncomfortable about this nativity set was that some of the figures in it are a bit like me. And some of them resemble people I'm friends with. In fact, when I think of the days when my children were born, I can recall quite a large number of selfies being taken. Maybe the person who made this set was wanting to put themselves into the Christmas story by imagining what it would be like if Jesus was born here today, among people like us. And that isn't actually a very strange thought, because despite the seemingly fantastic parts of the Christmas story, it was in many ways a very ordinary birth. You don't think so? Well, let me ask the parents here. Did you have to pack up and go somewhere different and be among people that you didn't know very well on the day your child was born? Auckland Hospital or birth care do spring to mind. Did special people come from a distance, bringing gifts, wanting to meet your new child, even if that child was a bit of a surprise? I certainly had friends and family who travelled some distance to meet my newborn children. And can you say for certain that you didn't hear something like angels singing when your child arrived, even if that was only a feeling deep within your own heart? This is what the Christmas story is telling us, that God chose to become part of this world in a very ordinary human way, among people just like us. Now, the hipster nativity might not be for everyone, but it is a good reminder that the story of Christmas does belong to all of us. That it is okay to imagine what it would be like if Jesus was born into our lives right here, right now. Because the truth is, there are lots of ways that love is born in our lives all of the time. The challenge is to recognize it and celebrate it when it appears. I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas, safe travel, and a happy new year.